Chapter 1. Sexual Attributes. Coexistent with life itself from the earliest period of human existence to the present, obedient to the divine command, designed to subserve one of the grandest purposes of nature, essential to the preservation and continuance of our race, are the sexual attributes of man. Our first parents were created with the same physiological differences that characterize and distinguish the sexes today, and though they were created in a state of maturity, there was engrafted upon their constitutions those self-same inherent properties that actuate mankind in the present, having been transmitted from parent to offspring through the process of generation. What love is to the soul, the sexual attributes are to the physical part of man. Love is the rudimental element of the soul, the essence of the Almighty. Sexual attributes, the medium through which the spirit essence is transmitted to and engrafted upon the physical being. Both are divine gifts in perfect harmony with man's happiness and conducive to his enjoyment. Love constitutes the foundation of human nature. It is the motive power, as it were, of our impulses, actuating, regulating, and refining human character. Sexuality implies reproduction, and associated with love is an instinct, the office of which is to repair the ravages of death by a continual transmission of life. The sexual passion is one of the most powerful impulses, and when subordinate to reason and love, its purpose is rather to subserve the object of continuing the species than merely its own gratification. Sensuality is an unbridled desire which kills the soul. It degrades love and brutalizes man. Man is a rational being, endowed with reasoning powers, capable of comprehending his attributes and understanding the laws of their application. It is his duty to understand and observe whatever contributes to his happiness and avoid whatever may cause suffering and misery. Ignorance will not protect us from the penalties of broken laws. It is by no means the author's wish to offend the fastidious or pander to depraved tastes, yet the conviction is constantly forced upon him that if the public were better instructed upon sexual questions, far less suffering and crime would exist. The proper study of mankind is man, and it is very appropriately said, knowledge is safety. Reason instead of instinct should govern our acts. The attributes capable of contributing to our enjoyment, as well as preserving our lives, are too often perverted and abused, and thus become sources of pain and death. It is therefore proper that we understand these facts and live accordingly, that we govern our passions instead of permitting them to govern us. This we cannot do if we do not understand the relations between cause and effect. If we are ignorant of the necessity of restraining our animal propensities and of keeping them within proper bounds, if we do not know their boundaries, or if we are ignorant that we incur certain penalties if we overstep these boundaries, we will be constantly liable to violate both divine and natural laws and be punished for the same, though at the same time not realize what we are being punished for. The majority of people blame Providence for their afflictions, while the truth is they have, though perhaps unwittingly, broken some law of their existence. It is not the author's intent to enter into the consideration of these laws and their effects in this work any farther than relates to the causes of pain in maternity and how to avoid them. Yet he hopes these hints will lead the reader to investigate the laws of life and the penalties imposed for violating them. Neither sex is complete in itself, but the diversity attracts the one to the other, to complete the one by union with the other. Neither alone is capable of transmitting life, and their union is necessary, not only for the welfare of each other, but also for the purpose of carrying out the divine command, multiply and replenish the earth. This attraction of the sexes is the basis of marriage and of the laws and customs which recognize the life choice of one woman for one man. When love is pure and true, it does not find its complete satisfaction except in the indissoluble bond of marriage. Marriage is its natural consummation. Before sexual union, it is the man that loves the most earnestly, because he sacrifices more, pains, marches, contests, he spares nothing. When the act is consummated, it is her turn, the woman who loves more, and for a longer time. Then her love becomes labor and suffering. She must nourish with her blood the being to which man has communicated life. She must bring it into the world in the midst of cruel pains. She must continue for its incessant cares. Bourgeot. Most observers concede that the sexual passion is stronger in men than in women. Indeed, some women have none at all, and though the absence of this passion is in most cases the result of disease or the early abuse of this function, there are cases met with in which sexual apathy is the only abnormal condition present. In such cases, philoprogenitiveness may be perfectly developed, and I have met many cases of the kind where women have become mothers without experiencing any sexual emotion whatever. There is another class in which a proper and natural degree of passion exists, while in still another, though smaller class, it exists in an unnatural degree, often amounting to nymphomania, a disease manifested by excessive erotic desires, which are controlled with great difficulty, if at all. Those of the first class, incapable of experiencing the emotions that influence and control the latter, regard them with contempt and hatred when pity would be far more proper. Fortunately, such abnormal conditions are amenable to proper therapeutic measures. There should be neither passion, pleasure, nor pain which is not shared by both sexes. Generation is a duty. Children are a good and not an evil, and the feelings that impel to reproduction are as much a part of nature as is the hunger or thirst that prompts us to eat or drink. But it is a physiological fact that the moderate use of any function contributes to health, longevity, and enjoyment, while excessive indulgence is punished with physical ills. Although it is possible for conception to occur where no sexual passion is manifested, nevertheless it is true that the disposition of the woman at that time has much power in the formation of the fetus, both in modifying its physical constitution and in determining the character and temperament of its mind. Her influence over the unborn does not by any means end with conception. For 9 months she continues to impress upon it mental and physical characteristics that to a very great extent shape its future course and determine its usefulness in society. The moral influence of the mother must not be forgotten, for it is while the rudimental brain and nervous system are being developed that impressions are easiest made and most apt to remain. Small influences at this time may grow into great variations of character in the future. True, the impress of the father will be seen in the child, but it is during gestation that the fetus is a part of the mother herself, blood of her blood, bone of her bone, and we may add, nerve of her nerve. Circumstances that influence the life of the mother during this interesting period necessarily exert a similar influence upon the child in a greater or less degree. In this consideration, the author is desirous of being understood to mean reproduction under such moral and social laws as govern the people where it takes place. It is not being his intention to discuss monogamy, bigamy, polygamy, or promiscuity in this work. The stronger constitution of the mother may not be permanently impressed by external influences, while the child may be so affected that a lifetime will not be long enough to efface them. Thus hereditary characteristics are transmitted and developed. Thus antenatal influences shape the destiny of the unborn. Excessive gratification of the sexual passions exhausts the vital and nervous forces, deranges the vegetative functions, and lays the foundation of various diseases, and the diseases and physical conditions of the parents at the time of conception and during gestation will materially modify the constitutions of their offspring. While the reproductive organs are not the seat of life, it is a well-established fact in physiology and pathology that they exert a most profound influence upon the performance of every function of the animal economy. Concerned as they are in the transmission of life, it is through them that vital and other characteristics are handed down to posterity, so that the welfare of future generations depends materially upon their inheritance. Children born of parents suffering from diseases of these organs are generally defective in vital and other qualities, ill-tempered, sickly, and short-lived. Baker. Children born of parents of fair intellectual qualities, but who have indulged in their animal propensities to such an extent that they are suffering vital defects, will usually be bright, keen of perception, have large heads, but will be physically weak, fall easy victims to diseases of various kinds, and in many instances die under 10 years of age. Sometimes the arts of the physician will avert those fatal tendencies of such constitutions, but were he able to do this far oftener than he is, how much better would it be to know the laws that regulate such conditions, and by living in obedience to them, avert the penalties of breaking them. Even though cures for diseases were always possible, how much better it would be to prevent them. Carry the question of vital transmission farther. Exhaust the vital qualities of the parent still more. Set up the diseases that follow the breaking down of the system by excessive sexual indulgences, and the children will rarely have the redeeming qualities of the former class, but will be scrofulous, idiotic, deformed, and epileptic. Scrofula! What a multitude of sins that word covers! Could those who use it know all that it implies, few would expose their sexual errors to the world by its utterance. Certainly, the highest and holiest duties of earth are consigned to women. She is the one who molds the physical form of her offspring and rears it to the stature of man, and shapes its moral and intellectual destiny. The embryonic being draws nutriment and sustenance from its maternal parent, and derives its vital impress from the parent stock. Loveliness begets loveliness, purity begets purity, wisdom begets wisdom, selfishness begets selfishness, hatred, hatred, bad temper, licentiousness, licentiousness, crime, crime, etc., etc. Excessive venereal indulgence, excessive childbearing, excessive nursing are terribly destructive to the vital forces of women's organization. This lavish drudgery to maternal requirements is the cause of many distressing disorders, producing irritability of temper and all those domestic contretemps which so often destroy the happiness of the family relation, and bring odium and disgrace upon the marital institution designed by the ordinances of nature and heaven for the highest felicity of man and women in a state of terrestrial existence. Pancost. The influence of moderation in these matters cannot be overestimated. The evil influence of excesses are to be seen in both parent and child. As the excessive indulgences exhaust the vital forces, irritability is increased, the sensorium becomes more and more acute, and trivial ills become severe pains or serious diseases, and the natural sensibility becomes so greatly exaggerated that the mother is subjected to continual agony both before and after birth. The act of generation is a voluntary one, but nature has so placed it under the empire of pleasure that the voice of discretion is no longer heard, and will is led captive. Hence it is well, for hygienic reasons, to consider its laws. Too frequent repetition of the reproductive act is known to be followed by consequences injurious to the general health. Too rigid continence is not unattended, in many constitutions, with danger, for the victory over passion may be dearly bought. Science recommends the adoption of a wise man between the two extremes, equally destructive. By following her counsel, women may escape from the hysterical and other disorders which often wait as well upon excesses as upon the too great demands that passion, which claims satisfaction as a natural right. Nafis. The interests of man and women are the same. Their object is to promote their own happiness, to prolong their own lives, and to perpetuate the race. The higher degree of perfection they attain, the greater their enjoyment, the greater their immunity from suffering. Pleasure should never be bought at the expense of pain. Each succeeding generation should be more perfect than its predecessor. Our race is susceptible of culture, but it cannot be trusted to chance. Certain definite and well-regulated laws are in existence throughout the universe. These rules must be understood and obeyed. Obedience will be rewarded and transgression punished. The providence of God asks nothing unreasonable of us, nor will it be likely to suspend any of its rules to favor an erring mortal. Ignorance will not be accepted in the extenuation of disobedience. The child that puts its tiny finger into the fire, ignorant of what the result will be, is as equally burned as the older one who knows the consequences. The insane man leaps from a precipice and is dashed to pieces on the rocks below. He breaks the law of gravity and pays the penalty with his life. The law of gravitation is not suspended because he is unaccountable for his act, so with all other natural laws. Pain is the result of having broken some law. Had the law not been broken, the pain would not have been felt. These are facts. They look us squarely in the face. We may reason from cause to effect, from effect to cause. The result is the same. The question plainly presented to every individual is immunity from pain and suffering worth the little effort required to prevent them? Is it purposed in the following pages to consider some of the causes of pain and teach prevention? As we improve our condition and knowledge, greater results may be anticipated, but we shall derive immediate benefit. Improvement is a forced state. If we relax our efforts, we shall be extremely liable to retrograde. We have shown that it is a fixed law that the capacities and dispositions of the parent are engrafted upon the offspring. Sick parents beget sickly children. Parents who keep their sexual functions in a state of excitement beget children that will be precocious in this direction. Consumptives beget consumptives. Venereal diseases descend through several generations, blighting the lives of many in the descent. Stock raisers study the law of hereditary transmission. And is the human race of less consequence? All these considerations have a more or less direct bearing upon the pains and perils of childbearing, and it is designed in the following pages to specify these causes, explain their operations, point out both preventatives and remedies, and render each woman capable of painless childbirth.